All right, hello again, Jeff Scott at Blackhawk Technical College. I'll be coming at you right now, redoing the tape for pages 90 through 100 because for some reason it didn't tape. So the adding about screen. So what I'm going to do is go through the steps just in the code here, and then after I do that, I'll go back and walk through what we're going to do. So the author says, I hope you're not bored with the app yet because there's one more feature we'd like to add to it, and that is the About screen. The new screen contains a so-called text view with the game rules, and when you get to the About screen by tapping the I button on the main page. So in other words, what we want to be able to do is we want to add another storyboard in just a couple minutes. That's what we'll do. And I'm hoping this comes up. There we go. And once it does, what we'll want to have happen is when we click that I button right here, we'll want the other screen, this About screen, to come up. So I'm just going to follow the steps, and then again I'll walk through it after the fact. All right. So the author says we're supposed to go to Xcode's File menu, choose New and File. By default, hopefully at least, iOS will be chosen with Cocoa Touch and Objective-C class. If they're not, you'll have to change them accordingly. Click Next, and as mentioned on page 92, then there'll be some stuff for us to fill out here. And this will be called our AboutViewController. All right. Subclass of ViewController. This is a little different from what's in the book. With the also create nib file, I just left that off and clicked Next. By default, it should choose for the target. It should have BullsEye for the group, and target should be checked here. And just click Create. And what you'll notice then is two files have been added to our project. They're shown right here in gray. They are the AboutViewController.h and AboutViewController.m. So what we want to do is we have to go into our storyboard, as I just was. So go into the storyboard, and then as they mentioned there is no view for this new screen yet. I'm on page 93 of the book. So you'll have to add this first. From the object library, find View Controller and drag it onto the canvas to the right of the screen which we currently have. Now you'll notice right away there's a quote problem unquote in that what we have here, let me move this over a tad. All right, is we have our game in portrait, in our game in landscape view, in our new view controller in portrait view. We'll change that right now. All right, so we'll click on this, make sure that it's highlighted, and it already was, I guess. Then we'll come over to the attributes inspector, which is right there. And where we've got orientation, we'll want to change that to landscape. Boom, that's already done then. All right, so I've done everything now through page 93 as far as I can tell. On page 94, we are to add it, grab a new button and drag it onto the screen here. So I'm going to put in button. There it is. We'll drag it onto the screen as asked for. All right, move it up just a tad, and I think that's supposed to say close. We'll put the code in for that in just a bit. And I'm not worried. I can always move what I've got there later if I need to. So, all right. So the other thing then that I want to do is I want to grab a text view control. Remember, we've been using text field so far, but I want a text view. And I want to drag that up here. And what is going to have to happen is I want to make it a little bit bigger, and we'll do that in just a second. In fact, try to do it now. Let's see. So I'll try to make this bigger, here, and here. Pretty good, it looks like. The close button, let's try to line it up somewhat in the middle. There we go. And we want to change the code, or the text, rather, that's in here. All right. And what we want to add was shown in our book on page, 93. And let's see if I can put this in. BullsEye. And thanks to Zach Heeg for telling me it's not return here, it's control return a couple times. And we've got here, welcome to the awesome game of BullsEye, where you can win points and fame by dragging a slider. Your goal is to place the slider as close as possible to the target value. The closer you are, the more points you score. Enjoy. Okay, so that's everything. All right. So I've gone through everything on page 90, page 91, page 92, and page 93. Page 94 says again, drag the button and drag the text view. I've done both those. All right, after dragging, it said your screen should look something like what's shown on page 95. Well, mine does, except for the fact that I've already keyed in the code that they tell us, or the verbiage that they show us here on page 95. All right, it says also on this box right here, so I'll have to go back and show my editor again, is they say we want to make sure that the editable is unchecked because we don't want the user to be able to type into that. In other words, it should be read-only. All right, so it says that's the design of the screen for now. So how do you open this new About screen when the user presses the I button? Storyboards have a neat trick that are known as segues. A segue is a transition from one screen to another screen, and they're fairly easy to add. So we're told here to click the I button, all right, which is what I've done right there. Click the, all right, click the I button to select it. Then hold down on Control and drag to the About screen. Let go, and it should pop up with several options. We want to choose modal. Again, I'm on page 96 in the book. It says now there should be an arrow, and that's the segue that's right here. It's kind of hard to see, that goes between the two screens. It says click the arrow to select it. So storyboard segue. It says segues also have attributes. In the attributes inspector, which is already showing, I guess, choose transition, flip, horizontal. As it says there, that's the animation that you'll need to go between the screens. All right, probably a good time to do a file save. And what I did was I grabbed step 5 from what was in your book already. All right, because I wanted to make sure everything worked okay. So I've got to finish page 97, 98, 99, and the top of page 100, and then we'll put this thing to rest until class. Thought that I ran this. Maybe I didn't run it. I don't know. All right, build succeeded. And what we should be able to do, as shown on page 97 in the book, is to press the I button to go to the other screen. All right, but tapping the close button will do nothing. So in other words, once you enter the About screen, you can't leave that particular screen. So we'll have to fix that, which we will do in just a couple minutes. It says to actually close the screen, you'll have to hook up some code to the close button. As a budding iOS developer, you already know how to do that. You'll use an action method. This time you'll add the action method to the About View Controller instead of the BullsEye View Controller. So if I click here, boom, pretty good. I can go, but clicking here on close does nothing because, again, it hasn't been wired up. So what we'll have to do is add an action method to the About View Controller because the close button is part of the About screen and not part of the main theme screen. So let's stop the simulator, stop the run. All right, we'll go back to here. And we want to open, as it says here, we want to open the AboutViewController.h file. And in here, we want to put in, and I maybe have said this in class, maybe not have. You notice what I'm doing? I've got here IB action close. Okay? And what that's doing is that is basically saying that we are going to close, we're going to call a close method, okay, in our About View controller. Now this really, Objective-C and Xcode don't care. I could have put it no blanks there and no blanks there. So you can literally run all this stuff together. I think it just looks a little nicer to put some white space in there. You may or may not agree with that. So now I'm going to highlight everything up to but not including the semicolon, do a Command C to copy. All right, go to my AboutViewController.m file. And right down near the bottom of this, in fact, let's do it before the pragma. We'll talk about pragmas next semester. They're just basically, they're kind of code hold. They're holders, for lack of better words. Okay, so there's our close. And what we have to put in here is self.present, well, not slef, self.present, presenting view controller. And there's probably room, so they show it in the book on 2 lines, but let's just try this. Dismiss view controller, animated, yes, completion, I don't want any of this stuff that's in here other than the thing on the end. So completion, nil, and my semicolon. All right, so the line that you see right here, I'm just putting my mouse over it back and forth, is the exact same line that is on the top of page 98 in your book. It says this line tells the UI kit to close the About screen with an animation. If you would have said no, there would be no page flip and the main screen would instantly appear. From the user experience perspective, it's often better to show transitions. Self.presenting view controller, all right, it says you should recognize it, that it's a property. It refers to the BullsEye view controller. You don't have to do anything to set this property. UIKit took care of it automatically for you. It says this leaves you with one final step, hooking up the close button's touch up inside event with a new action. So it says open up, so we've got our code in here, and probably again another good time to save. And they tell us to bring up our storyboard. Now I don't think I'm going to need this, so I think I can close. I want to close this, and I know there's a way to do it. Probably a real simple way. There, just dragged it all the way over. All right. So what I want to do now is it says open the storyboard, control drag from the close button to the view controller. All right, there's the close button. And control drag to the view controller. Now, am I doing the wrong one here? It's not showing me that. Let's try that again. Oh, it says, yeah, let's do this. All right, it says drag, and it says open the storyboard, control drag from the close button to the view controller. Strange. The close button should be listed, but it isn't. Instead, it's the same pop-up you saw earlier. The problem is that the new view controller in the storyboard does not know it's supposed to be about the view controller. You first added the .h and the .m source files and then dragged this new version controller onto the storyboard. but you haven't told the storyboard that the design for this new view controller in fact belongs to the About View controller, which finishes page 98 for us. On page 99, the author says, fortunately, there's an easy fix. What we want to do is select the view controller. So click on it, so hopefully it'll turn blue. There. Then it says, go to the identity inspector. Which is the one, I guess, right before or right to the left of the attributes inspector. All right, under custom class, they want us to type in here about view controller. And as you notice, as we started to type, the IntelliSense clicks in for us. All right, and I'm going to hit enter. Now, when we click on here and do our control drag over to here, we should see close, and indeed we do. All right, another good time to file save. And we're told to run the program another time. The author does mention on page 99 that it is possible when you run this. I didn't get it last time. Let's see if I do this time. Nope, it succeeded. It says, did you get this warning message in the debug output pane? We didn't. But it says, and does the app crash when you tap the close button? In that case, something went wrong when you added the About View controller source files, and it's easy enough to fix. They show this on the top of page 100 in the book. What I'm concerned with now is, can I go here? And can I close? Okay. All right, everything looks cool as far as I can tell. 38. Not even close. 81 points. Round 2, there's 81 points. 50. Wow, I'm right there. Perfect. 200 points. All right. Got the 100 for extra for being there. So now after I'm now in round 3 and I'm at 281 points. So what we will do starting next week is we'll go over, starting on page 100, the making it look good. So that's literally where we stopped off right here. So again, we've done the first almost 100 pages. We've got approximately 40 pages to go. So as mentioned, we will pick it up on the bottom or the second half of page 100 in class on Monday afternoon. In an ideal world, we'll do as much as we can on Monday, then as much as we can on Wednesday. If by Wednesday, and it's my hope, that we finish the entire project, that's good. Then we'll go on from there. That's really all that I had for you right here. I'm hoping that this saves because, again, when I tried to create this, I had a hard time having it saved. So let me quit the simulator. Let me do one more file save. Let me close Xcode. And finally, let me close. We'll find out now whether or not this works. So let's stop the recording. Hope it works.